Coleen Rooney has accused Rebekah Vardy and her agent of sending evil messages about her. The so-called Wagatha Christie trial heard that Vardy and her agent allegedly monitored and stalked Coleen Rooney, the wife of former England footballer Wayne Rooney. And Rebekah Vardy is suing Coleen Rooney for defamation after Coleen Rooney alleged that stories about her had been leaked from Vardy's Instagram account. Now, for the latest on this drama, we're joined by Melanie Finn, entertainment correspondent and news reporter with the Irish Independent. Melanie, good morning.
Hi, Pat. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You were monitoring all of this yesterday and again this morning. What's going on? What's been said?
Right. So the big news today is that Jamie Vardy has finally made an appearance in court with his wife, Rebekah. It had been noted that he hadn't accompanied her to any of the previous day's sittings. So he arrived today in this huge show of public unity, holding her hand, because today, very compellingly, we're going to hear evidence from Wayne Rooney. So this is obviously his former England teammate, and I believe the two of them are sitting very close in court with their wives, and it looks like the world's most awkward wedding. That's how it's been described. Not looking or obviously talking or interacting with each other in any way, shape or form. So the last 2 days of evidence we have heard from Coleen Rooney herself, and she really has been a very credible, very believable witness in this libel trial with about, it's £3 million sterling. It's going to end up costing at least, I would say. And it's also going to cause a lot of damage. So it really is, it's become the most compelling trial, in recent years. People are just absolutely lapping this up.
Now, there is a touch of, the missing witness about Rebekah Vardy's agent, Caroline Watt, and she is not going to testify, and yet she's, the ghost at the feast.
Yeah, that's right. And very crucially, her phone, she said, ended up in the North Sea. So this would have been used, of course, to get evidence of messages between herself and Miss Vardy, crucially relating to the Instagram posts. Now, they do have some WhatsApp messages. They have recovered those. And it was clear that they were discussing Coleen Rooney's life, her private Instagram posts in some detail, but she has declined to give evidence, which is kind of crucial. So it is a bit like the elephant in the room. Many people are questioning, why did Rebekah Vardy go ahead with this trial in the first place? Because she's not covering herself in glory. She was very tearful. She was very emotional during her own evidence last week, and she's not doing her own reputation any favours. She's coming across as very attention-seeking, kind of obsessed with Coleen Rooney, who would have been on the upper echelons of the so-called WAG scale, being married to Wayne Rooney, of course. So people are really questioning, who advised her to take this case? It's going to end up costing her a lot more than £3 million if she loses. And of course, it's still ongoing. We don't know how it's going to end up. But just from an outside perspective, it's not coming across good for her.
Yeah. Coleen Rooney alleged that they were sending evil posts about her.
Yes, they were. They were definitely discussing her. And she said, in her own evidence, that she found it particularly upsetting that they referenced her late sister, Rosie. Rosie had additional needs and she died in 2014. And she said that was just the most disgusting thing to come out of this, that they would even bring her into this domain of negativity. They were discussing a car crash where she totaled a Honda. There was various expletive-filled messages relating to Coleen. It was clear that she had a gripe against her. I don't know if I'd call it a vendetta, but she certainly disliked her. That's coming across very clearly. And like Coleen herself, she said, I never did anything to either of them. I don't know why they embarked on this so-called campaign against her.
And is there any conclusion that you can draw as to why they would have such a set against Coleen Rooney? Is it pure envy?
Yeah, that's really the million-dollar question. What's going on here, Pat? What's motivating Rebekah Vardy, a woman who on the outside appears to have everything? The perfect lifestyle, 5 kids, a handsome husband, multi-million, pound bank account to splash on these designer outfits. It must be something like that, to a woman who has everything, and then she looks at Coleen Rooney and thinks, oh, I want the notoriety that she has, I want the fame that she has, I want to be the number one wag. I beggars belief why you would do this to yourself, why you would have your own life dragged through the courts, when you have initiated this. Because most people, if you remember, Pat, had kind of forgotten about Coleen Rooney's post back in October 2019. I remember I was in the newsroom in the Indo at the time when it so-called dropped and everyone was just, instantly engaged, rapt attention, it went viral. So really, if Rebekah hadn't taken this action, it would have been water under the bridge, yesterday's newspaper. So you would have to question what she possibly thinks she could gain from this. She is just losing every single day that this continues. It's hard to believe that it's only been going on since last Tuesday. And it's only due to last a week. So it's kind of coming into the closing stages now.
Yeah, I remember when that thing dropped from Coleen Rooney, thinking what a smart woman she was to exclude everybody else and put these stories up that were for one person's eyes only, Rebekah Vardy's eyes. And therefore she had proof positive, as she said herself, that these leaks to the Sun came from Rebekah Vardy's account. Now, as far as I remember, she didn't actually say from Rebekah Vardy at the time. She just said her account, which is obviously true. Now, who had eyes on the account might be a nitpicking legal argument, but I think she demonstrated very ably that that's where the leaks came from. It was
very smart because she left it open to it being either Rebekah Vardy or someone in her inner circle, such as her agent at the time. And I really think she's reclaiming her narrative, as a so-called WAG, a term that she hates. She hates the term Wagatha Christie. She said that also yesterday. She said she's hated every minute of this, of going through this. But actually, she's redeeming herself very well. She comes across as articulate, as thoughtful. She patiently explained to, the senior counsel the other day the difference between Instagram stories and Instagram posts, which is something you wouldn't think you would have to explain to someone in the middle of a trial that's kind of hinging on a lot of social media posts. But there you go. And she did it with dignity and grace. And I think she's coming across very well. And she is, there's a lot of snobbery towards these women sometimes, and I think she's reclaiming her own narrative and saying, no, actually, I'm standing up for myself. Someone was deliberately leaking fake and vicious stories about me, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Melanie, thank you very much for joining us. Melanie Finn, entertainment correspondent and news reporter with the Irish Independent.